Here I'm going to lay out a few boxes in 2-point perspective. There's my eye level. It's a little bit loose, kind of clean up that eye level line. This is going to be vanishing point number 1. And over here, I'll put vanishing point number 2. If you're drawing in the real world, that vanishing point might be way off the page. One or the other, or both of them, might be well off the page, depending on what you're drawing. And in fact, in 2-point perspective, I kind of need to stay within this circle I'm making right now. If I draw outside of that range, things will start to get distorted and less believable. All right, when drawing a box in 2-point perspective, I'm going to start with the corner. It's going to be a vertical line. So I'm going to start with that corner and run that corner back to one of the vanishing points. So I have a vertical line that runs back to the vanishing point. I'm going to go off the other side of that vertical to the other vanishing point. So there's the front edge of my box. Now I just need to decide where is the back edge. Let's say there's another vertical. And then the other back edge, where is it? Let's say there. Again, this is random, or it's arbitrary. I'm just making this up. If you were drawing in real life, you would be observing these things. So to make this box transparent, I need to take those 2 verticals I just made and run them back to the vanishing point. Now I'm not taking them all the way back to the vanishing point because I don't necessarily need to. I'm just running them back far enough to be useful for the box I'm drawing. That'll help my page stay just a little cleaner. So now every vertical has diagonal lines going to both vanishing points, and that gives me a transparent box. And then this back edge gets its own vertical as well. So already this feels a little more natural than the 1-point perspective that we used. A lot of objects we see from an angle like this. And so 2-point perspective makes more sense. I'm going to flick from the corners here just for a little bit of added feel so it doesn't feel too sterile. I don't want to just put a big bold line everywhere. I feel like that might look a little boring. Okay, so there's a 2-point perspective box. If I wanted to make a second one, let's say there's one floating up in the air. This one is lined up with the other one facing the same direction as the other one. So let's start with a vertical corner, and you'll see me do that process again where I go back to both vanishing points off of that vertical. There's my 2 other verticals, so they need to go back to the vanishing points as well. This may seem straightforward, but it does take a bit of concentration. You have to make sure you're keeping track of where you're supposed to be drawing your lines from. I wouldn't call it simple. It's straightforward, but it's not simple. Make sure you're focusing so you don't get lost. There's a second box floating up in the air. You can see the top of that box feels pretty sharp. It's starting to get to the point where I wouldn't want to draw anything higher than that. It's going to start to distort. Here I'm adding a little bit of a rugged hand-drawn line, little short marks, and you can see it's making the box seem a little more almost hairy because of the type of line I'm using. And I can clean up these interior lines if I like to make that box feel a little more solid. If I was going to add texture to this box, and I think I'll go ahead and add texture, I'm just following the lines that head back to that vanishing point. And I can carry that on throughout the box. I can add any textural elements I might want to add. They're going to relate to those lines as they go back towards that point, and that's going to keep them in perspective too, so that I have this box that feels textured but also like it's in proper perspective. We'll do that on the top one also. These might be bricks, they might be cracks, they might be anything, any detail stuff. Let's make one that crosses my eye level. So I have one box below, one box above, and I'm going to draw one box that's on my eye level. I'm just going to firm that up. stopping that line at the other box so this one appears to be behind it. Maybe some textural elements on this box. All of them fan out from these vanishing points. And if I do that properly, I get a sense that these are sitting in perspective with each other.